What we're trying to do is get people to go up the hill, get out of their car, get on their bus, and we'll take them straight to the bus. And then we go up the road. They can go on the high occupant rail car. And they can park their cars over there, stay off the hill.
好重哦，所以我要一直感觉到手痛。
总算离开了。
信号回来了，要钱，关键被宣传点，科技会没了。商业已经跟你想多了，他都不会的。自立可以学，不要钱。把这数据信号回来，要钱要钱要钱，现在不进来了。
你这样会想多了，想多了，想多了。
So what's this new one, IKEA? That's straight from the government. Yeah, right? What's IKEA?
Good evening, everyone. Okay, everyone is still focused on eating. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. First, thank you everyone for coming to our April Civic Leadership Program. And this is the fourth time we have this event. And in the past 3 months, we invited some local service club like Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions Club, Chamber of Commerce to talk about their organizations. We also in February and March we invited school board from all the school districts in Tri-Valley. They talk about the school district and share the information with the group, and the audience feels really helpful. So for this month and the next, we'll invite the mayor and city councils from the 5 Tri-Valley cities, and then talk about more the city infrastructure and permanent conditions, role and responsibilities, and the major issues. So for today, we talk about more the city's infrastructure, and then about the appointment positions, the commissions, committees in the city, so that you know that in the future, if you're interested, you can apply. And just let the speaker know is for this group is more the immigrants. We are not born with here. Because we are not grown up here, we know little about the system. But they are interested in learning this process, the system. So this is a good opportunity for them to learn this system, also meet with elected officials. And today we have ceremony mayor Bill Clarkson here, and we have Daniel Mayor Renee Morgan. We have a President City Council, Paula Brown. And we also have a Dublin City Council, Arun Glowell. We also have another elected official, which is the first elected Chinese in the Tri-Valley, Jamie. So let's go around to a quick introduction. Just briefly say your name and where you're from, which city, and then we can start the program. So we'll start maybe from this thing.
Hey, my name is Chirin Song. I'm from Dublin. I will report tonight's event.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is John Andres. I live in Seattle.
Hello, everybody. My name is Victor Zhang. So
so this is my second time here. I live in Dublin.
I have a very complicated Chinese name, but you can Xiao Zhao Zhuang, just call me Betty. And I'm from Dublin. So I'm glad to be here. This is my first time. I come here really enjoying it. Thank you, everyone. China.
Hello everyone, I'm a long-time Alamo resident and I'm a Tri-Valley chapter board member and the chairperson for the internship committee. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anthony. I'm the Executive Director of Pacific Vision Foundation, and I'm from San Mateo, just across.
Thank you for joining. Carla Brown, Pleasanton. Woo! Pleasanton.
Amy Lou, sir.
Ernie Montanari, Danville.
Dan from San Ramon.
My name is Jun. I'm from San Ramon. I'm the fan of Bill.
Nancy from San Ramon.
Oh no, no any candles.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany. I'm from San Ramon, board member of Upper Tri-Valley.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Luisa Ordonez. I have my two students here also. This is my first time here. I'm from Dublin. I'm Sunyi and I live in Dublin with my mom, so.
I'm JK and I live in Dublin with my
I'm Elizabeth Ho and I live in Danville. I'm going to Monica to hi.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm from Danville. My name is Lisa.
Another Danville.
Hi, I'm Amy Chen. I'm from Orinda.
Hi, I'm Bichi Su from Unit City, East Bay.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Lindsay from San Ramon. I'm the Alpaca Tri-Valley board member.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Lee, and I'm from Danville.
Okay everyone, my name is Huiling Song. Song like sing a song, it's easier to remember. I'm from Pleasanton College.
Hello, Nolan Chen. I grew up in the South Bay, but moved to San Ramon last year.
I'm Grace Hu and I live in Danville.
Thank you again, everyone. And for every event, you have two fund sponsors to pay for the event. Today, we are very lucky. The Pacific Vision Foundation, Anthony, they sponsor this event. Thank you so much. I think Anthony, you have some announcement, right? Would you like to talk now or a little later?
1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming out on a Friday evening. It's a precious time, but also particular for the speaker, that they're willing to share their expertise. And we are nobody, just the cheerleader. And this is the leader who do all the hard work. And I'm glad that you're going to learn. So I hope some of you are thinking about learning this and taking into action. Pacific Vision Foundation is a small foundation with one focus, training civic leaders in whatever fashion that we recognize all politics are local. So we need to have a strong local infrastructure for the leaders, and it has to be organic so we can only encourage and promote. So far, I see so many encouraging, I would say, sparks came out by inspiration from this leader, Andy, now New York, Florida, Texas are imitating, and things are happening around the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. And I'm a resident. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Andy. I'm from Saramon. Whenever I say I'm from Saramon, I always like to promote Saramon to make Bill happy. So this year we're celebrating the 150 years Saramon area. So if you are interested, take a flyer here. Also, we have the Chinese railroad worker card here if you like. And for Papa, there's one event I'd like to announce. In June 27th, we are going to have a congressional reception in DC at the congressional office. So if you like, talk to me and you're welcome to join. This afternoon I talked with Bill. I promised to let him go before 8. I think I'll hold him a little bit longer, but we'll let Bill to talk first because he needs to take care of his father. And for Bill, I'd like to say a few more words. And I know Bill like 5 years ago, and he's the one brought me into Rotary, and he's the one giving me a lot of advice and teach me step by step how to kind of get participate. And he is a great advisor. So I really appreciate the help, all the help from Bill and the advice and you give to me. So without, I don't want to take too much time. Just let's welcome Bill to share his expertise.
Can you all hear me back there?
Yeah.
Hear me back? Okay, great.
Excuse me, Bill. Can you use my hand because we are recording this?
Oh, they're recording.
Yeah.
Now you're trying.
You see, I'm married to an Italian.
So you talk with your
Her
hands.
grandparents are from Italy. And you can't talk if you can't use both your hands. So I've always I don't like talking like that. So you're going to have to, I'm going to have to talk with one hand behind my back, literally, with this being used. I really appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. Andy has a couple of us speaking for no more than an hour each, so we should be able to get back. But he asked about and how to encourage and perhaps create a general roadmap of what is involved in getting more involved in local politics, local government. In fact, I'll say more local government because I think I separate that from local politics. And I'll use Andy as an example of somebody who got involved in some volunteer organizations, Rotary being one of those. What's nice about being involved in volunteer organizations with people outside of your comfort zone, which means out of your Papa community, and getting involved on a committee with other people from your city, a diversified group of people in your city. And the reason is, one of the things that people want to see when you're involved is how well you play with others. Does that make sense? They want to see, do you work cooperatively? They want to see, do you work hard? Do you keep your commitments? Do you pitch in? And so, like Andy, when you get a chance to get involved in a local committee and you work really hard, it is rare to find somebody who really pitches in and who has a consistency of showing up and hard work, never asks for credit, always asks the question, how can I help others? Because within a year or two, and I can speak for all 5 cities in the Tri-Valley. I can't speak for other cities outside the Tri-Valley. We have a very flat hierarchy system. And by that I mean, you can quickly rise to a position of leadership in 2 to 5 years. You truly can. There isn't an old girls network or an old boys network that's going to hold you in place. In a town like San Ramon, which I can speak with a little more authority, you can be an Andy Lee who was relatively unknown 4 years ago and rise to a level of prominence. He is one of the key leaders on our Economic Advisory Committee, which is a really important committee that does a lot of work advising both the Planning Commission and the City Council and also our staff about what are the important things we need to do to be economically viable retail, which is really important for a city because of sales tax, but also bringing jobs and preserving jobs in your city. San Ramon's lucky that we don't have to do a lot to retain and keep jobs. We just try to make sure we don't do anything dumb to hurt the people in Bishop Ranch who are probably the greatest job innovator, job generator anywhere in the Bay Area aside from Silicon Valley stuff, which is really expensive down there. And so the example of an Andy Lee, who gets involved on committees, works really hard, asks how he can help others, because when you start doing that, you develop a reputation when other opportunities arise. And really, without the folks at the table answering this question, if anybody out there can give me the answer of what's the definition of luck? What's the definition of luck?
Hard work and opportunity.
Hard work and opportunity. Yeah, it really is. Luck is nothing more than an opportunity to preparedness. You work really hard, you get ready, and opportunities in a serendipity sort of way, which means just randomly, arise. And if you're well prepared, and timing's everything, like you meet a spouse, like you meet best friends, many of that is not well planned, it just happened, and you haven't been well prepared for that moment. You all remember how you met somebody important in your life and you were prepared for it? And so what I'm sharing with you is you get involved in these committees, opportunities will present themselves, and you will find people who are already in elected positions or appointed positions or involved in Rotary or in Chamber, who are going to see people who are really involved and really care, and we're going to both mentor them and we're also going to find ways to get them more involved and get them in leadership roles. So my advice is, find a place you can get involved that's outside of your comfort zone, outside of your group. Show that you can work hard, you can be counted on, that you never ask for credit, you always ask others, how can I help you? And you will find yourself getting immersed in that area's culture. The other piece, and Andy talked about how the system works. In San Ramon, and I know the others can fill in the gaps of things I forget about, which is probably a lot. We have really 3 layers getting involved. And the first layer is committee work. Economic Advisory Committee, an Arts Advisory Committee, we may have a Library Advisory Committee, senior citizens. And these committees are really like the minor leagues is to baseball. It's a chance for people who are unproven but have interest to get appointed to something, and they get a chance to get involved. If you go to any of our city's websites, I believe all of the committee and commission, the committee openings are posted, and when there's openings, it tells you. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Correct? So we're nodding head. So you go to any of the websites, look under the council, look under boards and committees, you'll see what openings there are. And in your city, whether it's arts or whatever, if it has any kind of interest to you, get involved, apply for it, fill out a nice application, show up in a nice, read whatever material they have. So if you apply for the Arts Advisory Committee, ask somebody at City Hall if you could read the Arts Strategic Plan inside. Every city has what's called a general plan. A general plan essentially is an instruction booklet how a city is going to build itself, or how a city will go about doing all its internal construction. It's an instruction booklet. And you ask that city for that part of the general plan that applies to your committee. You go read it, become knowledgeable, and when you go into the interview, you say, well, when I read this in the specific, when I read this in the general plan, it said this and that. Would that impress you in an interview?
Absolutely.
Carla?
Absolutely.
Do a little homework, and you will find yourself on these committees. The next step up are called commissions. And cities usually have planning commissions, which make all the land use the most important commission in most cities. And they have a parks commission sometimes. And they also may have, what are the commissions like you have?
We have energy, we have civic arts, and we have, there's a community service one too where we do our BC.
You have 5 commissions. 2 commissions?
Oh, you mean us personally? Yeah, we have plenty. We have lots of, we also
Commissions.
have, commissions we have 5.
5 commissions? 5 commissions?
Health and Human Services.
Right. Those are really getting to the big leagues, because to get appointed to a commission means that you have done enough homework and you have established a reputation that you trust your judgment, because in many times we will be making decisions for the council based on their direction from the policies established. An example is when the Planning Commission makes a ruling on land use, it's final unless somebody appeals it. Then it comes to City Council. So planning commissioners are very, very powerful. Were you on the Planning Commission?
Yes, it was.
No committees, no commissions. I just went straight to the top.
There's an exception to the rule. One exception to the rule.
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission. Yes. Those are, any other elected from cities here? Just the 4. Just the 4, okay. So planning commissions really is a great spot to land, but it takes 5 or more years perhaps to get there because you have to be appointed by people who are on council. Anything else you want me to cover before? Because I don't want to take all the thunder that they want to share about.
Whatever you think is will be helpful to the group.
I'll give one insight, just one insight about how cities work that sometimes people get frustrated. Say that there is and you guys probably don't know much about growth issues. You guys have any issues around growth?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all. The most contentious issue.
Define problem.
The most contentious issue usually in cities is land use. Growth, no growth, stuff like that. Even somebody doing an addition in their backyard can sometimes create lots of controversy. Many times there'll be a project that'll come to the city by an applicant who wants to build something. And you as citizens don't like it, right? You don't want to have the growth district. And so you complain to your city council, right? Did you know they can't respond to you and tell you how they feel? And the reason why is that if the planning commission makes a decision, or they make a decision, it can be appealed to the city council, right? I talked about that. It can appeal to the city council. The city council then hears this in a semi-judicial setting. The 5 council members sit as judges to make a finding. So, it may go through 2 hearings with the applicant and other people making comment. There is a public comment part where the public gets to speak. The reason I share this with you and why it's really important and why we're creating a Citizens Planning Academy to teach people this over like a 10-week course is, could you imagine going before a judge? There's a lawsuit where you're accused of a crime. You go before a judge, and before there's ever a hearing, before there's any evidence, before anything, the judge says, they're guilty. Or the judge says, I'm going to fine for you because I like your point of view. And there's never been a hearing. Would that seem fair? I'm looking for nodding heads. Would it seem fair to make a judgment before the
No.
Consequently, council members cannot, even though they get lots of political pressure, they cannot tell you in advance how they're going to rule on this growth issue. Before it goes to planning, they shouldn't even go to planning meetings because that could be undue influence. And as it's very controversial, there's all kinds of stuff in the social media. You guys know what social media is? All that stuff out there. All that negative stuff they've written, they're saying horrible things about the Danville Council because it's, guess what?
It's not true, but that's okay. Go ahead.
No, they can't respond back. I agree with you. Quit beating up on me. I don't like this project. They can't say that. And so it takes a lot of internal fortitude for an elected official to remain silent in front of all of that barrage of criticism because they want to remain impartial. Because if you come out and say, I agree with this position, I don't like this development, the applicant can sue you or sue the council and have your decision thrown out or have you recused and kicked out and you can't make the judgment before it comes to you. You're out. And so the civics lesson here is, and I wish every resident knew this, is that as issues of growth come through the system and the process, your council has to remain impartial and remain silent on the issue until after all the public testimony is done. And after all the public testimony, public comment is done, and the gavel comes down and it's closed, which means the public can no longer be involved. Your voice, you cannot talk to us anymore. We go into a business meeting in the public, and we begin to discuss for the first time how we feel about the project, pros and cons, and we can render a finding, but not until then. So I share that with you so you are better citizens and you can perhaps be more supportive of your electeds. Whether you agree or disagree, you can at least tell others they have to remain silent right now, otherwise that'll go wrong. Did I characterize that process okay for?
I think you did.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yes.
So we're going like, what are we going to say now? Yeah.
I really appreciate you letting me have this opportunity. I've got to head back out. Again, I know it's sort of the Andy show. Andy, thank you for your leadership and everything you're doing for the council.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate the information. You know what? I think that you guys are kind of like, sometimes I'm not surprised. I read a lot. You have told me what you think. You like it or you agree or you don't agree. This reminds me of another story, like 2.5 years ago, someone tell me, you have to tell me who you vote for. Then later they learned that like, this is your privacy. I mean, you are not supposed to tell anybody. Even we have a law that you cannot post your ballot on the internet. So next, I'd like to welcome the Danville Mayor, Renee, to come to speak for Danville.
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to give you just a quick briefing of what Danville's about. First of all, we incorporated in 1982, which means we took our community away from the county and took ownership of our community and elected 5 council members. The reason we have 5, does anybody know why there's 5 on the council?
So when you vote, you can see who
That's right. So when we vote, if we have a split vote, then the mayor makes the final decision and we never have to have a tie. So one of the things that's really important to us is the fact that we've maintained a AAA rating within Moody's, which is really good for those of you that are finance majors to understand how important it is to make sure that projects that you have in your community can be built and can come to fruition by having money in your coffers. And what that means is if you have a checking account, you don't spend all that money on just anything. You spend it on the things that you need to spend it on. And that's what Danville's done. We've been very prudent with our money. We've made sure that we have never just taken that money and just thrown it away. Very, very important. We are one of very few in our region that have achieved a AAA rating in this particular area. Another thing to note is that we are in California. We are in 25 top cities for the wealthiest city in the state of California. So for Danville, that says a lot. It also says that we take the time to make sure that we take care of our citizens, we take care of our community, and we make sure that our people are well taken care of as well as our community. When you look at the times where the storms hit us and we were ravished with all these storms, a lot of communities had a lot of things that were falling apart. If you notice, Danville had very little downtime, very little downtime. And that's because we have a staff of 31 people, that's it, 31 people in our maintenance department. And they were able to maintain our community as the way it is. Very important to have that. The other thing that I'd like to tell you is that children and our elderly are very important in our community. As I know a lot of you, family is very important. Family is important to me, as well as our military. It's very important to me. We take care of all of those 3 things. That to me is a triangle. So one of the things that we offered was the Volunteers in Police program. If you've ever heard of that before, it's where people come and they're not actually officers, but you're able to volunteer in the police program. You go through a program, you learn how to be what the officers do, and then in an emergency, you're able to jump into action, or you're also able to work on a weekly basis to volunteer your time. Last year alone, we had 8,000 hours volunteered by people coming out and helping the community. And that says a lot about our community and the volunteerism in our community as well. So one thing that I wanted to do is, when you're younger, a lot of times you look at the police and you think, ooh, it's the police. So I wanted to change that image of what our police stands for. So one of the things that we did is we offer it now to high school students. So if you're in high school in Danville, and you want to go through the volunteer and police program, you're able to do that now. Now we have a middle school son. We also have a 29-year-old daughter. We have 2 grandchildren, but that's a different story. But I also have a 14-year-old who's in 8th grade. And I noticed that that particular age group was getting left out. And we were talking about it as well, about the middle school kids and how, a lot of times they're forgotten. So what we did is, I talked to the police chief, and I said, what can we do for that? So we opened up the volunteer police program for our youth as well. So middle school, high school, and now adults as well can volunteer in that police program, which is a great opportunity. Another thing that we have is we have a youth commission. And we also have what we call, actually it's a youth council is what we call it. And the reason why we have that is because the youth are the ones that are the future. You're our future. So when we ask you, what's your opinion? What do you think of this park? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Your opinion matters to us just as much as our seniors' opinions and our adults matter to us. The average age group in in the Danville community is 45. So it's a young community. While all of our regions around us are growing, we've stayed at about 43,000. As a matter of fact, our population dropped about 12% in the last year. Isn't that interesting? Everybody else is growing, but we're staying consistent. And it's important to note that when you stay consistent and you continue that your community also thrives. So when you want to look at a volunteer position in Danville, the best thing you can do is come out. There's parks. You can get involved in all types of parks activities, whether it be a camp counselor, if that's something that you're interested in. If you're interested in helping the youth, we have youth programs. There are so many different programs that you are able to get involved in Danville. And we do that purposely because, like I said, our youth are important to us. So when you come to Danville, know that we are the way we are because of people like you. You make us who we are. You make us strong, and you make us the community that we are. So I left my cards here. If you are interested in volunteering, and if you are a Danville resident and you're interested in volunteering, or if you're not a Danville resident and you want to become part of a community that is successful, please take my card. I'd be happy to get you involved in some things that happen in the Danville, whether it be council or commissions or any type of other things. So thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. And I think Danville also have that Citizen Police Academy program, which is very good.
Yes.
And Ceremony has that program too. You can join that program, kind of pretty much experience all the things, get through the training, touch a little bit here, there, and you even do the shooting, right?
Yes. Well, we came out of we were first.
Oh, okay. I was a student now. Yeah, Ceremony Citizen Police Academy, and
yes, they do the same
kind of after you join that, you have much understanding why they do this. A lot of things happen, you can understand why they do this. Like when they approach you, just don't move, don't hold any weapon, Sometimes, I told the police, even especially like night, you're alone, like they stop you at night, they are more nervous than you. Can you imagine? Because they are a good guy, but they don't know you're a good guy or not. Next, I would like to invite, President Stikanda Kala to come here. Let me prepare the whole program.
So I wasn't exactly sure what the topic was, so I did a couple of little presentations on overhead, so I'm a PowerPoint person. So a lot of the towns that we're talking about today have the same. We have a Citizens Academy, we have commissions and committees, and we actually have 8, I was wrong, it's not 5, it's 8 commissions. So let's talk Pleasanton for just a moment, and I'm going to just tell you real briefly a little bit about me, and we'll see how this works. Nope, I'm the other way. There we go. So I'm in kind of an interesting situation. I ran for re-election. By the way, I ran one time and did not win. So I ran again because I'm not a quitter. And I very strongly felt, thank you, but I very strongly felt that the council at that time was not representing the citizens. And I was a regular old citizen. I wasn't on any of these fancy committees and commissions. I was just speaking out, speaking my mind. And I didn't know, but I missed the first time by 1%. Heck, I could have tried a little harder. And I would have. So the first time I ran successfully was in 2012, and I was the #1 vote getter. So see what running a second time will do for you. And then this is the third time I ran, and I set a new record for votes in the history of the city of Pleasanton. So that Jerry Penton and I are both incumbents, and I beat him by 40%. So I feel pretty strong about that I am the voice of the citizens and not necessarily the voice of the organized groups that are in town. So, let's see if I can do this one. So just, that's a little bit about me. I was in the semiconductor industry for years, tired of commuting. I don't know who else is tired of commuting down the 6-8 community corridor. I became a community activist. And people said, if you don't like it, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So I started gathering signatures. And we started putting things on the ballot. So some of my adjacent cities like to tease us and say, oh, everything in Pleasanton goes to the ballot. Well, That's not exactly true, but controversial things too. Because we, like the citizens in Dublin, San Ramon, and Danville, we want to make sure that we're representing those people. You're the ones who put us in office, and we're supposed to represent you above special interest groups. We could talk more about that. So I became the noisy person who stands at the city council meeting. We all know who those people are. And I got better and better standing up there. It's actually very nervous. Because you got the TVs, you got the council up there, and sometimes you got a mayor that's not very happy with you. So when I ran this last time, I was endorsed by all 3 local newspapers in our area. And I was not supported or endorsed by any other council member or mayor that I served with. So you can say that means I'm not a team member, but remember, I was by far the #1 vote getter. So there's a dichotomy there that's not really paired up. In other words, I'm concerned that our city council is not representing our public. So it's like, what are we going to do about it? So, is there a way to slide that up just a little bit? Maybe not. Okay.
Sorry.
So this is an organization chart. We all know that in our businesses, what an organization chart is. And normally the president sits at the top, or the CEO. At the top of this chart is you. It is the public, it is the citizens of Pleasanton. And I'd even go as far to say the voters of Pleasanton, but the people who make up the city. You're in charge. You're the ones who put us in office, you're the ones that are supposed to tell us what to do. And below that is the city council and mayor. We're all on the same plane. And below those, we have our committees, commissions, all those things that we talked about earlier. And you can be a committee and commission member. If you walk away from this, you've heard it a number of times, it is for you. It is meant to be for you. Your advisory to the city council and your vote and your feedback count. I read numerous reports from these council and committee meetings, and about what's being debated and what the points are, and I take that information to my decisions. You are important, so consider that. So all the way down there is our city manager and our city attorney, and all the folks below that. But don't forget, you're at the top. So use your votes wisely. Do your homework for who you vote for, and don't just say, "Oh, my friend's voting for so and so, so I'm going to vote for him." Know why. Elections take place shortly after Halloween. So the busiest place in all of Pleasanton at Halloween is 2nd Street. It's our historic street. So one of my friends said 1,000 people come to her house at Halloween. I'm like, wow, 10 people come to my house because I'm on the edge of town. Maybe I'm giving out the wrong candy, I don't know. But apparently 2nd Street is on the internet as the place to go. It's these really cute historic little houses, and it's just adorable. So I agreed. I bought 4 bags of candy, and I go with my girlfriend. She's there on 2nd Street. Well, they don't ding dong. That's not what they do on 2nd Street. They set up a table on the sidewalk, and there's a line of kids, and they just walk up, trick or treat, and they go to the next house, trick or treat. It's funny, but it's fun. So I'm sitting there, and my friend, I have a little baseball card which says what I stand for. It's got my picture on one side, on the other side of 5 things that I think are really important in Pleasanton and what I stand for. So my friend who used to be a school teacher says, "This is for your parents," and she's giving out my baseball card, "and this is for you." And so I give them candy. Well, this very astute 4th grader walks up and he goes, "Carla Brown? Do you know Carla Brown?" Like I'm important. And he goes, "Yeah, she's right there." And he goes, "Wow." And they start talking because they studied it in school. California, 4th grade California history. They studied candidates and they had an idea who we were. Wow. I think there's a lot of 18 and 21-year-olds that have no clue who we are. But it's really cool that those 9-year-olds do. So keep that in mind. Candy, handing out candy. So these are just a list of some of the things you can volunteer for if you're in the city of Pleasanton. So we have a bicycle and pedestrians trails committee. It's like kind of a mouthful, but we're trying to make bicycling in Pleasanton safer. And we have a lot of sections that are connected. And very sadly, we recently had a death of a bicyclist. And so that bike and ped group has got a big job, and that's helping to make Pleasanton safe for bicyclists. So we have a Civic Arts Commission. We have a very generous benefactor called the Harringtons, and every year they give us a piece of art. And the city's agreement is that we'll install it and give it a nice location. Well, you just don't want any old piece of art there, so they vet it through and they make sure that our Firehouse Arts Center and these nice pieces of art that are going around town are good and fit into our community. We have an energy, we have a downtown specific task force. We're looking at improving our downtown because I hear, even though we don't have very many people from Livermore, that Livermore is kicking our butt in the downtown business. Right, Jamie? People go, they leave our town because they said it's fun there. They got movie theaters. They got all this cool stuff. Dublin's got cool stuff, and you guys got cool stuff too. We're trying to be on par with all our neighbors. So, and then there's an Economic Vitality Committee. It's usually got a member of the Chamber of Commerce on it. It's got a specific, like somebody from Hacienda Business Park, somebody from the school district, somebody from professional real estate agents and commercial real estate agents. And this is the last slide. We have a housing commission, which is tasked with, we need housing for all different income categories, not just people at $1 million and up, which is the average sales price in our town. So where does everybody else live? So we need to make sure we find housing for both the underserved and low income, but also for all categories of housing. Human Services Commission, we did a survey, and you might be surprised. I was. But we did a survey in Pleasanton, what can we do better? What element of Pleasanton is missing for our, especially for our lower income? Dentistry. Interesting, right? Dentists. So when children have achy teeth in their mouth, they're not here to study. And it seems like we do really well with medical, and we do well with after school, but somehow dental is that missing component. So we're working on that. We have Parks with Library Commission. Our hopes are to have a bigger library someday. It's going to be really expensive. We're going to have to save for it. But our library is the busiest building in town. Kids go there after school. We have our seniors that have events there. Our city council goes there. And people eat lunch there. People have coffee there. It's like our big fancy bookstore, but it's our library. Parks and Rec, obviously that's self-explanatory. We want to make our parks and our recreations top-notch. We just opened a $16 million park in Pleasanton called the Vernell Park. It's got 3 all-weather fields, huge playgrounds, natural trails, water, natural waterways. It's a beautiful, beautiful park, and we just ribbon cut it a couple months ago. Planning Commission, Bill talked about the Planning Commission. They are our most important commission for providing feedback and ideas. I read those minutes before I make any decisions because they're well thought out, they're smart people, they come from all backgrounds. It's like we've got people that are artists on this planning commission, a wide variety. And then I'm going to wrap up with one real quick story on the youth commission. I said these committees and commissions are advisory to us. Well, what's youth commission going to do? Well, our youth commission is the bomb. So they came to us and they said, you know what? We want to outlaw smoking in public parks. Right? That's a good idea. That's a great idea. It's amazing we hadn't done it before. Then, so I go downstairs. I work in a building where the downtown association's upstairs, and I go, we need to stop smoking in our streets on downtown. So we got together, and I'll say that I'm part of a leader in this, and we outlawed smoking in all public parks except the golf course. Apparently there's these guys that want to smoke cigars. I don't know. But we outlawed it everywhere else so that kids don't have cigarette smoke secondhand in parks. We outlawed it in our main street, in most areas in the main street, because art galleries didn't want somebody standing out front smoking and having all the smoke go into the art gallery. The wedding dress shop also said, I don't want someone smoking outside our building and having all the smoke go into my wedding dresses. So the Youth Commission was important. They had great ideas and we implemented them, and we greatly appreciate their feedback. So that is Pleasanton. We're a great city, although we're underrepresented here. But at least we have Jamie. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Nana. I think this is a great effort to put a ban on the cigarette. And I know California has very strict law here, but I'm glad to learn Pleasant even goes one step further to kind of make it restriction in the public park and even the downtown. I'm not sure Dublin has that.
We've been doing that for a while, actually. And we also restricted it in condominiums and apartment complexes as well.
I'm working on that.
Second answer.
Agenda.
Thank you so much. And also, I think it's great information. And although we don't have many people from Pleasanton, but you can learn this opportunity. You know, this Pleasant. I mean, I told other people, if you ask me like 5 years ago, you'll be in the committee or commission, I'll say never in my life. But now I'm in the Ramon Economic Development Advisory Committee. Also, I'm the Control Cost Managed Care Commissioner. So you know, it's not that hard. You can do it. This is one of the purposes of this meeting, to encourage people to participate. So next, I would like to invite our friends Ron to come here. I think you are not the first, but you are a second elected official in the Tri-Valley, right? Second elected Indian in the Tri-Valley, right? There's someone ahead of you.
That is true.
Thank you so much.
First of all, thank you for spending your Friday evening with me and the rest of the councils inside of the Tri-Valley and extended areas. As an engineer, I should have brought a presentation.
I didn't know we were supposed to.
You know, I wanted to be the caboose, and I quite didn't do that. Plus, I was busy with work. And I want to bring that up. But first of all, I want to see a show of hands and not the elected officials, please. Do you understand what the establishment is? You do? Raise your hand. There you go. There's only one person. So, can you tell me what you believe the establishment is?
Well, it's kind of being bold here, but I think the establishment is the group of officials that are in play that understand the institution and how to maneuver within that space to make things happen. And so a lot of times the citizens don't understand that because they're not in that establishment space. That's what I would say.
I really like that definition, and I'm going to extend it a couple of steps beyond. It is really the political operative organizations that exist down deep and rooted that control everything going on in what you do. Okay? You can call it the Democratic Party, you can call it the Republican Party, you can call it the Tea Party, etc. Okay? That's the establishment. Although I'm represented by a party, not supported by the party, I ran against the establishment. So out of all the elected officials talking today, I can say one thing, I'm the newest one. Okay?
The baby.
I'm the baby. With the beard and bald on top. But, you know, I make a lot of fun about it. And Carla has seen me at some of the debates. And it's about passion. So I'm going to ask you the next question. And first I'm going to ask the elected officials. Do you get a stipend in your city? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes?
You want to call it a stipend? Is that what you want to call it?
You get $1 or more.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, yes, that was.
Okay. So let's create another benchmark. Are you considered full-time with the city pay-wise?
No.
Over here? Okay. The next question I'm going to ask. Do you serve your city in a full-time capacity plus overtime, hours-wise?
No.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you hear the difference of the level of dedication. We most probably all, correct me if I'm wrong, have a full-time capacity or dedication to alternative opportunities outside of the city. Is that accurate? Okay.
Are you saying, do I have another job? Yes, I have another job.
Correct. Alternative opportunities, a BPC. I've learned one thing since November, BPC. I'm not PC. Okay, so I got myself in the headlines. Good job, buddy. But what I'm really trying to get at is each one of you truly have an opportunity to strive and serve your community and your citizens in any capacity you want to the opportunity and extent that you want to dedicate. Got that? And that's why you guys are all here today. You're dedicated. You want to understand. So I'm going to give you a little bit about my background, and then I'm going to work it into how I'm about to serve not just my city, the region, and potentially the state, and at a national level. I'm not a politician. So anything I can and say will be held against me, I guarantee you. Okay? I'm a civil engineer, born and brought up in Hayward. I went to San Jose State, and I only lived within a 15-mile radius, ever in my life. That's scary, right? Born up in a vacuum. I was fortunate, okay? My father came over and he cleaned dishes, okay? He was an immigrant, but allowed to be a proper immigrant. And a lot of people don't understand the values that we come with. I came into the Tri-Valley 14 years ago, and I came in because I wanted my kids to be brought up with the proper etiquette. Proper etiquette. And I sit on my dais today, having been there only a few months, and within a few weeks, I had controversy, that too, within my own ethnic background. That's a violation in my perspective. It's an absolute violation. I'm one of the first cities to have 2 elected Indians, and we have controversy hitting the headlines. So for me, professionalism, ethics, being an individual, and truly representing your community are utmost important. How do you do that? You got to understand, you got to educate, and you got to be involved. Okay? What does understand mean? You got to understand the process. Many people today listen to social media. I'm a social media poster. I'm known as a blogger. Nextdoor nominated me as the first elected official in the United States as having been the most prominent voice of reason. Look it up. First one on Nextdoor to do that. Why did I do that and how did I do that? I got on a conveyor belt that I didn't know God. I never had an aspiration to be an elected official. But I look back 2020 and I say, oops, I actually did possibly the right things to get me to where I'm at. Possibly. So what did I do? I was a civil engineer. I worked for Alameda County for 7.5 years. My dad served for 32. Okay? After that, I worked for Alameda County Transportation Commission, and in 2014, I served on the Alameda County Transportation Committee to basically push forward a bond measure to put a sales tax of 1% for transportation, and I was the financing and event coordinating side of that campaign. They gave me a target, and I doubled down on it, and I told them they were unreasonable with their expectations, and I actually achieved the fundraising goal far, far beyond. And it's now led on to be Fixed Roads California, is a segment that's continued on. And so why do I bring this up? Transportation is at our core. When we want to go home, we want to be there. When you drive on or go on BART, you want to A, find parking. Dublin's at the end of the line. It came in because of the original sales tax measure in 1986 that brought BART to Dublin. Okay? And Pleasanton. Yeah, you know.
We call it the Pleasanton Station.
Yeah, but we took the garage. Okay, so they went flat, we went up. But we actually joke in the community, and I think the idea is when we're outside in the environment and we try to really, as elected officials, I'm having a hard time getting used to that, okay? We actually are people. And when we're out there, people either put us on a pedestal or they cross-examine us and they question us. And that's fair game, okay? But what I want to now talk about is how do you understand the process and how do you actually evolve change? Dublin's gotten known for being the highest growth city, highest building city, and pretty much everything else highest with the lack of schools. Okay, so if you're in Dublin, you've heard all the growing pains going on. So when you look at understanding, and I'm going to ask for a raise of hands now. Elected officials, please don't raise your hands. What is the right time to get involved in a project during the approval process? Is it when it comes to the final approval, or is it the EIR process? Everyone saying EIR, raise their hand. Okay, everyone saying final approval process, raise their hand. Oh boy, I got some scared people. Environmental review process, or environmental impact review, okay? Otherwise known in California as the CEQA process. Some people would say a lot of this stuff comes through the Planning Commission. You heard today the Planning Commission is very powerful. Well, I served on the Planning Commission for years. I didn't know how powerful it was. Oops. Okay, and I was a strong no vote. Apparently, there was a strong yes, and we built out. Okay. And I'm kind of joking about it in some senses, but I'm also trying to hit home. Is a lot of times people think when it comes to the final end of the game, that final approval is the most impactful. It's not. The decision's already made. It's already approved. It's got its vested opportunity to exist. It's passed all the state requirements. The only thing left is political opinion and public opinion. Okay, Pleasanton says they go to a vote. Well, let's talk a little bit about political votes. And I'm going to hurt Pleasanton for a second. And Carla, please, if you're on the wrong side of the coin on this one, I do apologize in advance, but I want to make a point. Okay? And if you're on the right side of the coin, just clap. Costco. Costco went to a ballot. I think it was called Yes on MM. Okay, so Yes on MM, and I'm going to take a poll for a second. Costco's on the ballot. Yes on MM. Does yes mean build Costco or do not build Costco? Everyone who says build Costco, yes on MM, raise your hand. I am really making people scared. This is awesome. Does no on MM mean build Costco? Raise your hand. That is correct. No meant yes, yes meant no.
Confusing.
Right? Well, yes on MM lost to no on MM, and Costco is coming to Pleasanton. And I think that in part is the confusion that people don't understand, they don't read, and they go all of a sudden and they hit a checkbox. So the biggest thing I want you to walk away today is your vote counts. But make it valuable, make it vested, make it understandable, make it educated, make it informed, and take everybody that you know to make sure if you're going to vote, understand what you're voting, don't vote on your own opinion. Yours, not theirs. Theirs, not yours. Make it individual. Make it passionate. And take it all the way home. The next thing I want to tell you is having come through the process in a very, very diluted and different way, I supported a measure that supported a union, that supported a party. I was a union member. The Union Brotherhood always says, support your unions, right? The party and the unions did not support me. Is that a broken process? Or is that a demand? I'm not going to answer that question for you. I just need you to take that as a question mark, because that ties to the establishment. Okay? And so I came a full circle now. So, how did I get involved in the local jurisdictional process? Serving 8.5 years at Alameda County Transportation Commission, I actually direct reported to 22 elected officials at any given point in time, and I actually have helped you guys get to and from any place you work in throughout the Bay Area, whether it be 680, 880, 580, 92, on BART, even going to the international airport, San Francisco Airport, from the international terminal to the parking garage to the BART coming in and the people mover. All across the nation in other airports. So I understand infrastructure, I understand delivery, I understand the financial capacities, I understand potentially what is broken, and I understand the shell game. I am dangerous. I am. And that's why people bet against me. Okay? One thing that is proven in November, do not assume that you are going to win. Do not assume. I also did something that was very different. Most people will bring on a campaign manager early, or they won't have one at all. I'm going to do a poll. How many people thought I brought a campaign manager when I announced in September of 2015? Raise your hand. How many people thought I brought on a campaign manager when the city council changed the municipal code to get rid of me from the planning commission in February of 2016 and brought me to a public tribunal trial, and 100 people showed up and supported me that I've never seen before? How many people thought I brought on a campaign manager at that time? I was actually going to withdraw from the race. The city council pissed me off and the community supported me, I ran. Continuing onwards, I filed in July, still no campaign manager. I brought on my campaign manager October 1st. 30 days and counting. The most hardest time to bring on a campaign manager, the hardest time to do it. Why am I saying this? Again, if you're committed and you want to do it, you can. I served on the Planning Commission 4 years. People believe in you. If you're true to it, you're humble to it. You've heard the mayor of San Ramon say it. Don't ask about being put on a pedestal. Ask about how you can serve, how you can make a difference, how you can evolve change. I'm about disruptive change. Okay? I was the first person to potentially, we'll find out if I go into litigation or not. This is being recorded. See, not politically correct. I took a position against the project. IKEA. And I did it in a very unique way. I said no. First one to say no, took a position. And everyone said, well, you can't do it. You can't do that. Political campaigning is free speech. You can't. Second thing is, I said, what's my basis? I had 3 reasons. One was in the environmental process, 2 was not. Did I make a prejudgment? Some could say maybe I did. But after the fact, being an elected official, I've been completely unbiased. I've actually sat on cooperative terms with the project proponent to really negotiate and carry on the community voice, to really try to help make it the truly best project that can come forward. And I can say in their version 2.0 and what's forthcoming version 3.0 of their design processes, incorporating much of the community opinion. Whether the community agrees with it or not, whether I agree with it or not, is yet to be determined. I have not made a final stance, and I won't make a final stance now until it comes before the Planning Commission and then to the City Council at a later time, potentially 2018. Okay? So, in short, in summary, look at what your opportunities are, look at how you can serve your community, how you can get involved, where you can be involved, what commissions, and look at for that Civic 101. Okay? Thank you very much. And by the way, when you talked about cops and guns, I used to train the cops and guns. I was a rider in the CHP cab vehicle. I used to train them on the express lanes, which you guys may or may not like. It's the technology side of that.
Thank you so much. Please come back. I think I'd like to invite all the elected officials, Carla and Jose and Arun come here. And this is an open Q&A session, and everyone can ask questions. Feel free to kind of ask any question you have. And also thank you so much, Arun. This is a lot of inside story, inside knowledge experience. Really appreciate that. So anyone has questions? Well, any of them?
That was easy.
Yeah. You have any question?
That one speaking up.
I just want your opinion about the high school, high school. What's your point stance? I know.
She's a non-PC. We turn off the recording.
Well, you're not scoring.
Okay, well, so, and exactly that's the point. As city officials, we don't finally take a position on schools. But I want to get down to a couple of core messages. In May of 2016, Measure H came to the forefront. I was the only elected official or campaign person to ever take a position against a benefit to students, monetary benefit to those infrastructure. I said no on H. It had no accountability. And having done a bond measure before, that was the one piece it missed, accountability. It had no strategic plan. It had no specific mechanism of how it was going to spend its funds. So if you recall, they didn't have a land. They didn't have an accurate capacity analysis. They didn't know any locations. And they allocated $86 million, but yet said to build a high school would cost $400 million. And they threw out a couple of locations, one being Camp Parks off of Taza Harp. Being a civil engineer, construction manager, I said, whoo! The environmental process, $7 million. The bridge to cross the culvert, $20 million. We got a problem. And that's where I first said, where do we go? Do we need a second high school? We need capacity, for sure. Okay? And the other answer is yes. How are they going to do that? I don't know. There are closed door conversations happening. There's basically the city and the school district are sitting at it. I'm not on part of it. Okay? It's Councilmember Gupta and Councilmember Biddle that are from the city council that have been appointed to negotiate on that side. So there are still pieces that are coming, and we have yet to see what their vision is to deliver that. But I think it's going to get tied back, whether they like it or not, to Measure H. And it's going to get tied to the fact of their demographic and numeric studies that they did of how children are going to make it to the high school did not account for it at the right time. So I talked to you about the EIR process. During an EIR process is when they needed to have raised the flag. And as on the planning commission at the time, I kept on asking the question, do you have the capacity? And everyone said, planning commissioners are not supposed to be taking a position on schools. And I said, there is one specific segment in an EIR that essentially says, are there impacts and are they significant and are they mitigatable? And because the school district did not indicate at the time, the project moved forward without any mitigation requirements. So when did you have to get involved? In the EIR or the final planning phase and approval phase? That was the core of my question. It was the EIR phase. So I really want you guys to understand, even if it is a highway project, a deliberate highway project, even if it's a transit project, it is down to the basics of the core. Be involved early as soon as it becomes a concept. Be involved at that town hall. Be involved at that public hearing of the EIR of the CEQA process when it has to be incorporated into the EIR document where the project proponent has to write a specific response back. That's what's missing today, is the public doesn't understand the process, and unfortunately as decision makers we left with the cart already left the station.
There's nothing we can do as public committee because we don't understand. We also talk with the school board a lot about this issue. But
you know, I don't want to say you can't do anything. Can't is a very, very large word. I said I'd never run. I said I'd never be a politician. I said I'd never be part of the establishment. In January of 2017, I went to Sacramento and I said, welcome to the establishment. I go, dang it. So, you can, and we can take this offline.
more little detail
Any more questions?
Yeah. Go on. So every summer we send young students, some at college, some at high school, to intern in political offices. Can you, all three of you, tell us what valuable lessons can they learn from your office?
Yeah.
First.
Actually, at a time,
Can you go
Oh, good side.
to the middle. This is the perfect time because I just got an email that they're opening up spots for youth in government. So what do you learn? Some of the basic things that kids learn, students learn when they come to city government, you get dressed up, you show up on time, you're respectful, and you are not in charge of the city government, right? So maybe at home, they think they're king and queen, but when you go to a real job, you find out, first of all, that there is a lot going on, and maybe you're going to be exposed to it a little bit. Really fast story. I have a mom who lives in Livermore. She calls me and she said, my daughter is majoring in law, and she's thinking about being a city attorney. Would my city attorney talk to her? Oh my gosh, he couldn't wait to talk to her. He was so excited that somebody might consider city government law that he said, not only will he talk to her, but he'll bring in 2 of his assistant city attorneys as well. So youth in government is embraced by our group, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for kids to really find out what a real job is and be respectful. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
The process that we've all been talking about tonight is the interesting part. When you get into a commission or you get involved, even when you go to school, you learn the depth of what you want to find out when you get involved. When you want to talk about an EIR, everybody was like, what's an EIR? What's CEQA? What are all these things? That's how you find out. So find your passion. If it's finance, if it's whatever it may be, if it's parks, if it's leisure, if it's council, if it's leadership, whatever your passion is, find that passion. The town of Danville itself, like I told you earlier, we do a lot of interaction with our youth as well as our college graduates. I maintain a lot of different programs where we give scholarships to children that are graduating, going on to school. Also, what we do is we try to encourage you to come back to the community. So it's important to participate once again in the community and learn these things so that when you do go to vote, like you both were saying, or when you get involved in a process, you know how to stop that process. You were talking about the schools. That's a good point for us, is they're CEQA exempt. So when they decide on a project, how do you know how to get involved in that? So the best way you can do that is to get involved at the grassroots area, which is at the commission levels, to understand, get that experience, and then when you decide to make decisions, you're making the valid decisions and the ones that are going to impact the community for the best and for the positive.
Thank you.
So interning. Being new, I really don't know. Okay, but I can tell you one thing. Kind of being on the outer bubble, if you so-called say of what I am. I've had many organizations and individuals, parents, walk up to me and ask if I would be willing to actually bring on board and coach youth coming through a system and providing them an opportunity. And this is what I said to them. Absolutely. Okay? And I kind of look and reflect as far as what did I do and how are my daughters coming up. My eldest daughter got onto the Youth Advisory Committee. I couldn't say no to her. I said, go ahead and apply. And she got on, and she's now in her 2nd year of that. Tonight, matter of fact, ending at 10, so I'm watching the clock really quick. She actually started her own nonprofit organization with Dublin High School, and she's running a campaign fundraiser, so if you're in Dublin and you're near Menchie's, please join over there and say Sam, because it'll give you some good bonus points. But outside of that, in the parade, I met, at the St. Patrick's Day, I met Miss Silicon Valley. and she was talking, pardon me?
Silicon Valley.
Yes, it's
Silicon Valley, not Silicon Valley.
Let's make it America great. I don't know. Sorry, I do apologize. I can't even say my own name. It's bad. So now
So is any other questions?
Silicon. not
Silicon Valley. Okay, the Silicon Valley. And she was basically coming up with a program about bringing youth, girls, and showing them the way, a positive voice, and an empowerment role, and how they can do that. So she and I are going to combine up, and I'm going to champion something potentially as early as August of this year. Overall, what can they do to better move forward and become more involved in their community and lead a disruptive change? Anything that's against the status quo, really, because if it's status quo, quite honestly, it's going to be on that path by itself. And so that is what I'm going to do, and it's talking about being a public speaker, being involved, understanding the due processes, understanding the sequence of what makes a difference in infrastructural improvements, really just being good champions, good custodians of well-progressed local government. And so I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to engage. I lead a TV show called Parenting a New Generation. Look it up on Facebook and on YouTube. And I'm also being involved with the Dalai Lama. Okay? And so there's going to be other things that I'm going to be doing with education and those different platforms. So really, interning in my world is not the standard typical, call it intern, get in for 2-3 months, come out. I'm talking about long-lasting impacts that truly evolve change and become embodied and embraced as far as the total governance of change.
Thank you.
One last question.
Hi, my name is Sylvia with Papa Chagadi Board. So this question is for Renee. So thank you for sharing all the wonderful things about Danville. I think it might be good for you to share a little bit more with us about, because today's topic is about appointment position. I think Danville has a special way of appointing mayor and vice mayor on a rotating basis among city council. That kind of unique among the other cities. So can you share with us, how that process was developed and what was the reason behind it and how that certainly had to account and how others can participate in this process? Okay.
Well, first of all, Contra Costa County, majority of Contra Costa County has, we rotate into our position as mayor. Whereas Alameda County has a direct voted mayor and vice mayor, or they rotated to vice mayor as well. The interesting thing about that, though, is in order for you to become even an elected official, you have to be elected onto the council. And then you serve your term until you get to become a vice mayor. And you have to be appointed by your council, so you're basically elected in through your council to serve as a vice mayor. You're not automatically a mayor. So you have to be on the council for at least 4 years. So the interesting thing is if you decided you wanted to run for election at 18, because you could, anybody can run for election when you're 18. You can't be the mayor in Danville at 18 though. You could be the mayor in their cities, but not ours.
City council.
That's right. You could be, well, they could be voted in as mayor as well, because they have a directly elected mayor. We don't. So what we do is you have to serve for at least 4 years on the council. The positive things about that is if I just move into your community and I have no idea of what the community's about, the first thing I'm going to do is I run for election and I want to change everything. I have no idea how things go. I don't know what's working, what's not working. We have to take 4 years to learn about the government, learn about the community, learn about what it's all about, so that by the time we do become mayor, we have all of that experience behind us and we're able to lead the town and make sure that we stay in the positive direction. Not that the other communities don't, because they have great communities as well. It's just their process is different than ours. It just makes for a different process. So it's not just Danville that does that. It's majority of Contra Costa County that does the same thing as well. But it's definitely a different process, but it's a good process. In my mind, it's a very good process.
Thank you for sharing.
So we have time for one more question. Any last question?
Come on. Make us earn our keep.
Okay, if you want to ask, I'll ask the last one. I think last time I asked about this, you started a little bit, talk about how much your stipend every month. I think actually, you know what? There are some people think this is a paid full-time job. It's a highly paid full-time job.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's better to let the community know like how, if that's public information, I think we can know. Okay. So maybe we can start from Carla, talk about how much the stipend is for you.
All right. Woohoo! Okay, we're making big money up here. Not. So we go into elected official government because we care about our community and we think we can make a difference. It ain't for the money. So I make $1,000 a month, and then I also have health insurance, and it's actually very good health insurance. So during the time I'm elected, I have health insurance. So $1,000 a month, and I probably, just I'll extend the question, I probably put in about 25 to 30 hours a week. For things like this, I'm including that too. I got elected and I said, oh, 2 meetings a month, how easy is that? And they go, You're also going to be on the Wheels bus board, you know, the Wheels bus that goes through Dublin and Pleasanton, and you're also going to negotiate garbage rates, you're going to negotiate sewer rates, you're going to make sure we have enough water from Zone 7 Water Board, and it goes on and on and on. So Fair Liaison Board, I'm on 10 committees and commissions, in addition to my 2 council meetings, and all that for $1,000 a month. You get a bargain. So there you go.
It's an interesting process because honestly, when you get into government, you don't get into government for the money, especially at the local level. And I'm speaking from our level. I'm not going to say we make $1,000 a month because that's not even true. For Danville, that is. We attend so many functions. Every single one of them, when you're an elected official, you have to pay for on your own. We can't, if somebody says it's a $250 gala that we have to go to, we can't accept that as a donation because we have to claim that when we have to fill out our forms. So everything comes out of our pockets. So the amount of money that we get basically covers our traveling time, at least in Danville. I don't know about both of you, but in Danville, it's basically our travel time. And you were speaking of committees. I sit on so many different committees, everything from transportation to the school district. I also am involved, I'm a board member with the 100 Club, the Sheriff's Posse. It's called the Danville Children's Guild. We give back to children that are underprivileged or have illnesses and stuff like that. So we're continuously involved. We're continuously out in the community. Our meeting the other night went to midnight. And I mean, from 7:30 in the evening until midnight until we're done. So the time that we put into this, if you're getting into government because you think you're going to make a lot of money, you might want to rethink your career.
So I made a mistake. You guys didn't warn me. I was like you guys.
You should have asked.
No, in all jokes aside, about $1,000 a month plus benefits, health and retirement. But I think really what the moral of the story here is only big cities like San Francisco and Oakland get a full-time wage. Outside of that, or San Diego, LA. San Jose. Outside of that, it's really a part-time, and I say that kind of jokingly, function. Because that's not what puts food on your table. It's not. Raise of hands. I like polls. How many emails do you think we get in a week? Actually, a day even. Let's go for the week. How many emails do you think we get? 100. Raise your hand. 200? Raise your hand. 300? Raise your hand. 400? Raise your hand. CVS building came to me. What was the other project? Oh, by the way, that was the one that was reversed from the planning commission through the appeal process. And a legislative body, which we were not allowed to take. And we had to disclose who we had contact with. So that's another learning process. Those whole email things, by the way, you guys email us, it's automatically public records. That to our personal email records as of February of 2017. Thank you, San Jose. Everything. We, Dublin, got in the news for East Bay, was it the East Bay Express? The first one tied to Sanctuary City.
Do you get stipends for your phones? Do you get
Do
your
not.
phones? No.
Do not. We do get a city or paid iPad.
Oh, we don't even get that.
Without any Wi-Fi. Well, with Wi-Fi only, but no LTE.
I guess we got to run for office in Dublin.
Yeah, that's
That's a little richer.
You're still working as an engineer? Huh?
Are you still a civil engineer?
I am. I'm not so by law, I'm not allowed to say I'm a civil engineer. I'm an engineer with a civil engineering education. I do not carry a PE or a license.
I guess I'm asking, you still have a full-time job?
Yes, I work for PG&E.
You get a salary and everything?
I work for PG&E, one block away.
So I have a last question. Apparently, you ladies and you guys basically, how do I say, magical people. And how do you manage so many commissions, your family time, and your regular job? I'm just curious, your tips.
I did it until all my children were away at college before I ran for office.
Okay.
It was impossible for me to do a full-time job and to do all these other committees and commissions and then be good at them and be successful at them. And to me, it would be heartbreaking for me to always tell my daughter, my youngest daughter, who works at PG&E and actually knows the roots. It would be heartbreaking to say, oh, gotta miss your prom, oh, gotta miss your volleyball player, gotta miss your volleyball game. That's not the kind of parent I want to be. So volunteerism is always there. Sometimes, and I think, maybe it varies a little bit, but in our council, I'm 59 and I'm the youngest person on the council. So most people got involved a little bit later in life. So there you go, after their kids were grown and in college.
I guess I'm the oddball out here. I have a 29-year-old, I have 2 grandchildren, and I have a 14-year-old. So I have a lot of gray hair. Thank God that there's hairdressers out there. But no, I got involved in this because I have a passion for what I do. My background is in architectural engineering, and I am not an architect, but I'm an architectural engineer. Same type of situation. But if it wasn't for my husband, who right now is extremely busy, he's an attorney, the Balance Act is very important for us because it's important for us to be there for our children. It's important for us to be there for different events, and it's also because it takes so much time of us. But if you like it and you're passionate about it, you'll make time for the other things because your family always comes first. At least in my home, my family always comes first. But if you're passionate about it, do it. You can balance these things. There's a way to make it happen. It's up to you.
So I'm going to be the comedian through lack of sleep. Being a manager at PG&E, I work well above 8 hours. Being on the city council, with a lot of growth and controversial issues coming through for a small city of Dublin. Every constituent expects and respects a response to every single email, every single phone call. And I do that. Wholeheartedly do that in a very, very quick response time, personally, even if it's at 4 a.m. in the morning. My wife calls me a sleepless nut. Okay, that's how we find time. You squeeze it into your opportunity. When you run, when you get elected, and when you think you want to make a difference, just know one thing. if you sign up for it, sign up for 1,000%, not 100. Okay? Because you're going to get called to represent in some of the most interesting things. I get called into Sunnyvale, I get called into Cupertino, I get called into Livermore. I'm in Livermore tomorrow. Okay? I'm going to help officiate one of the events over there. They're going to tie a turban on me. That's going to be fun. Because I represent a very small group of elected officials. We hit the 1% mark. And so with that, there is developed a lot of expectations. And I think that's what we're all really saying is, you, the citizens, don't know, and quite honestly, you don't care what our challenges are. You care about your issue, and you care that it means a lot to us. Okay? And you want to be heard, and you should be heard. And so, really, I think that's the key message. How do we do it? We're not superpowers. We have 24 hours. I tried to invent 48. It didn't work. Okay? But we have to squeeze it in. And for Carla's meter, I'm on the bad parent side. Because like I said, my daughter is having a fundraiser today at Menchie's that ends at 10 p.m.
That's not a bad parent.
You got 15 minutes.
But I guess the point is we really juggle the balls. And our families are our pillars. You know, sometimes we're sitting there and a Dublin resident may contact us or send us an email, and we will be having that conversation and need to respond. Because that's our responsibility. We stepped into that arena, knowing or unknowing. But I think it is something that we need to do, and we need to represent. Local government is a power of government that is actually for the people, and the people feel it in their wallet and their day-to-day experience. Beyond that, you can dismiss it, quite honestly, if you live in a vacuum and you live in a cloud.
Okay, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. Really great to share, and also really appreciate all the effort, all the work you put for this community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So let's come after the friends have a group picture, and then after that, you know, you can have their business card, try to find time, maybe have a coffee with them. So.
Okay, then can I ask you to use my
这把扇进去一下。
让你拍一下，还可以拍一会儿。你去拍一张吧，大家拍照片。
Okay, just come to the front quick. Let's take pictures. Come here. Okay.
So who's taking a picture then?
Yeah, there's.
Wait, there it is. Sideways. There you go. You want this? Okay.
Make
She
sure
can take
to
them.
Twitter.
She's good. Yeah, exactly. Does that be one?
Sorry. God, I don't want to drop that one, do I?
Yeah, no, don't.
Okay.
Airdrop it before.
Cheers, everybody. Sure. Cheers.
So I'm gonna use cell phone, like the camera really can do the work.
This cute cell phone.
Yeah, it's really cute.
So you gotta smile if you see my
Smile. Cheers.
Okay.
Thank
hold
you.
on. Now this one is not cute. Okay.
Is that a cow or?
No, this is Anthony's.
Totoro.
How about you take it, Ernie?
Okay, can I? Maybe I can help you, Kimberly.
No, he's fine. He
If
just
you want to go
wanted
over,
to
I can take a picture with you too.
I'm fine.
Come here, Winnie.
It's okay. I'm not cute. Who's that for?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
See if they're okay.
Oh, no, he doesn't. He's like always like that. So.
Yeah, I mean-
Oh, please, that's my sit up there. Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. look at the messy table.
Good night. Good night. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's my darling.
So you can still send it to me after you have your myself.
I'm fine. It'll be like,
You have my email. Yes, perfect. And I'll profit. Yes,
我这个李好给安妮的好。
It was also, you know, it's kind of dark inside.
And then we have
这个准备下去了，放这儿了。
这个挺难洗吧？挺难洗。
我其实把这一盒给你
Everybody had time to speak, and that's where it's kind of helped keep you quiet.
Don't worry about
People that make money, well, they're going to be executives like They take them out. They don't write them checks or anything. That's just how they do. But they say about percentage. Say like I so the Costco, it's the $16 billion
I think it's
because I didn't want to pay for that. They should pay for their It's
within jurisdiction of the airport district. We have a well, I mean, it's within the boundary, so to navigate. There are opportunities for that. It's owned by an Asian. Otherwise, my daughter will officially be upset.
To not have to get up to say, like, I didn't put it on. And it's not that we need more housing, it's that we need more jobs here. And then people come, they're, oh my gosh, my house is on.
I've sat down before.
And you gotta stand up to them, which is
They're on the right path. So really,
Okay, because we have some.
Yeah, actually, a lot of us, so you guys can raise the funds. And then they just see
Instagram, Twitter, whenever I do it.
因为我已经吃晚餐，但我很快吃嘛，然后就什么菜都没吃，我就做好这个时间，然后我在那拿那个waiter 说这个好好吃。You bring some home. I'm ready.
Alright, good luck with your turban tomorrow. 那现在我问女儿啊，什么时候现在去你 register 吗？Oh, how many emails am I getting? If a hot topic is coming up, I've got chat on one side. Oh, Masha? Masha, this is next Friday, right? She's coming.
How do you manage?
So we like to see them. Well, like I said, some days you slap a little with ice.
健康自体吗？
And all we can say,
Yeah, maybe here.
It's okay.
Or you can come here.
Come here.
both member, okay.
Nancy, come here.
Oh, picture? Yeah, both member, okay. Only a few, this time.
Sorry, my lens is the wrong lens.
Wait, don't get the food this time. Yeah, stand on the table.
Don't try to back out beyond the wall.
Last time,
Oh, what's the dirty? We got a bunch of dirty dishes.
如果说是想，老早就说过。
Okay, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile or not? You're in the picture now. Okay, one more.
Kala is the tallest.
Well, that's better not to but I'm the tallest on the council. The mayor sits on the pillow. He said he saw himself on video. He saw himself on video. I see every day. People all over these different little bag. It's not his bag. So, I don't even mention that. I just know why his wife. It wasn't in the bag. You're gonna run for
They come to appreciate
You know, they say that谢谢，今天你都没有记到照片。
没有，因为我记得我帮你们拍照片嘛，我帮你那个，因为我不需要进照片，你跟他拍张照片，我帮你拍一张，我怎么样照？有了就好，没关系，没有了就好，来，我给你们拍，要拍的，
我们跟那个一起拍。
美女摄影师。好，那你拿全相机也拍一张。
Model for one more picture.
Yeah, we need that. Oh, Michael, Andy, Okay, Nancy, go. Nancy, go. All right, say cheese. Winnie the Pooh. One more.
That's very cute for me.
All right. Thank you. Let me see. 没关系，哎呦，好矮哦！我还放在这边，这个大学生。
糟好了3
哎呀，这张好了。
一般的那个本科也是3天。
那个不好意思。我每次看到自己照片都现在7、8号，我刚刚就要记，但我没记出去呢。
你有我的这个？
好像我有吧，应该我没那么快。
You guys have day weekly once 2 weekly. Because youth group that is doing something trying to spread their but I didn't because they're just going to pay for it. But they're trying to champion for their
两个餐厅要在来哎，你要进去是吗？
那个关了。
关了。
那个。
好，给你们两个都关了。
早就关了吧？
妈，你在里边是吧？
是，哎，真的一直开着。